Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner. I am going to make a statement, and then let you correct it if I have made any errors. This is the statement. Creation is a single entity or unity. If only a single entity exists, then the only concept of service is service to self. If this single entity subdivides, then the concept of service of one of its parts to the other parts is born. From this concept springs the equality of service to self, or to others. It would seem that as the logos subdivided, parts would select each orientation. As individualized entities emerge in space-time, then I would assume that they have polarity. Is this statement correct? Ra. I am Ra. This statement is quite perceptive and correct until the final phrase, in which we note that the polarities begin to be explored only at the point when a third density entity becomes aware of the possibility of choice between the concept or distortion of service to self or service to others. This marks the end of what you may call the unself-conscious or innocent phase of conscious awareness. Questioner. Thank you. Would you define mind, body, and spirit separately? Ra. I am Ra. These terms are all simplistic descriptive terms which equal a complex of energy focuses, the body, as you call it, being the material of the density which you experience at a given space-time or time-space, this complex of materials being available for distortions of what you would call physical manifestation. The mind is a complex which reflects the inpourings of the spirit and the outpourings of the body complex. It contains what you know as feelings, emotions, and intellectual thoughts in its more conscious complexities. Moving further down the tree of mind, we see the intuition, which is of the nature of the mind, more in contact, or in tune with the total beingness complex. Moving down to the roots of mind, we find the progression of consciousness, which gradually turns from the personal to the racial memory, to the cosmic influxes, and thus becomes a direct contactor of that shuttle which we call the spirit complex. This spirit complex is the channel whereby the inpourings from all of the various universal, planetary, and personal inpourings may be funneled into the roots of consciousness, and whereby consciousness may be funneled to the gateway of intelligent infinity through the balanced intelligent energy of body and mind. You will see by this series of definitive statements that mind, body, and spirit are inextricably intertwined and cannot continue, one without the other. Thus we refer to the mind-body-spirit complex rather than attempting to deal with them separately, for the work, shall we say, that you do during your experiences is done through the interaction of these three components, not through any one. Questioner. Upon our physical death, as we call it, from this particular density and this particular incarnative experience, we lose this chemical body. Immediately after the loss of this chemical body, do we maintain a different type of body? Is there still a mind-body-spirit complex at that point? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. The mind-body-spirit complex is quite intact. The physical body complex you now associate with the term body being but manifestation of a more dense and intelligently informed and powerful body complex. Questioner. Is there any loss to the mind or spirit after this transition which we call death, or any impairment of either because of the loss of this chemical body that we now have? Ra. I am Ra. In your terms, there is a great loss of mind complex due to the fact that much of the activity of a mental nature of which you are aware during the experience of this space-time continuum is as much of a surface illusion as is the chemical body complex. In other terms, nothing whatever of importance is lost. The character, or, shall we say, pure distillation of emotions, and biases or distortions and wisdoms, if you will, becoming obvious for the first time, shall we say, these pure emotions and wisdoms and bias distortions being, for the most part, either ignored or underestimated during physical life experience. In terms of the spiritual, this channel is then much open due to the lack of necessity for the forgetting characteristic of third density. Questioner. I would like to know how the mind-body-spirit complexes originate, going as far back as necessary. Do they originate by spirit forming mind and mind forming body? Can you tell me this? Ra. I am Ra. We ask you to consider that you are attempting to trace evolution. This evolution is, as we have previously described, the consciousness being first, in first density, without movement, a random thing. Whether you may call this mind or body complex is a semantic problem. We call it mind-body complex, recognizing always that in the simplest iota of this complex exists in its entirety the one infinite creator. This mind-body complex then in second density discovering the growing and turning towards the light, thus awakening what you may call the spirit complex, that which intensifies the upward spiraling towards the love and light of the infinite creator. The addition of this spirit complex, though apparent rather than real, it having existed potentially from the beginning of space-time, perfects itself by graduation into third density. When the mind-body-spirit complex becomes aware of the possibility of service to self or other self, then the mind-body-spirit complex is activated. Questioner. Thank you. I don't wish to cover ground that we have covered before, but it sometimes is helpful to restate these concepts for complete clarity, since words are a poor tool for what we do. Just as a passing point, I was wondering, on this planet during the second density I believe there was habitation at the same time space of bipedal entities, and what we call the dinosaurs. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. These two types of entities seem to be very incompatible, you might say, with each other. I don't know, but can you tell me the reason behind both types of entities inhabiting the same space-time? Ra. I am Ra. Consider the workings of free will as applied to evolution. There are paths that the mind-body complex follows in an attempt to survive, to reproduce, and to seek in its fashion that which is unconsciously felt as the potential for growth, these two arenas or paths of development being two among many. Questioner. I see. A news program I saw a couple of weeks ago raised the question of why the dinosaurs vanished, you might say, from our planet suddenly. I know this is unimportant, but I just wondered what the reason was. Ra. I am Ra. These entities could not feed their body complexes. Questioner. Okay, now, in second density the concept of bisexual reproduction first originates. Is this correct? Ra. I am Ra. This is correct. Questioner. Can you tell me the philosophy behind this mechanism of propagation of the bodily complex? Ra. I am Ra. The second density is one in which the groundwork is being laid for third density work. In this way it may be seen that the basic mechanisms of reproduction capitulate into a vast potential in third density for service to other self and to self, this being not only by the functions of energy transfer, but also the various services performed due to the close contact of those who are, shall we say, magnetically attracted one to the other, these entities thus having the opportunities for many types of service which would be unavailable to the independent entity.